What if I told you that there was a 60-second technique that you could use to wipe out your anxiety on the spot? And no, I'm not talking about distracting yourself or using any form of positive thinking to override it. I'm talking about a medical grade technique that will literally help you shift from anxiety to clarity. If you don't believe me, join in on this demonstration and follow along. We're going to start by breathing in through the nose for 4 seconds. Inhale. Now hold your breath for 7 seconds. Now slowly exhale through the mouth for 8 seconds. And relax. So what we just did was we tapped into the parasympathetic nervous system, which is responsible for rest and digest. We also just increased your heart rate variability, which is a clinical marker of stress resilience and overall tolerance. As a byproduct of that, your cortisol levels would have reduced, which is a byproduct of stress and anxiety, or when too much adrenaline gets flooded into the body. Here's a little fun fact for you. When you wake up first thing in the morning and you drink a coffee, you actually spike your cortisol levels up by over 100%, which is what's responsible for you feeling that groggy and that post-afternoon crash. Your vagus nerve has just been stimulated, which is directly responsible for fight or flight responsiveness. Now, when you're feeling anxious, you are entering more of a flighty state. This breathing technique that we just did helps completely reset that and wipe it out of your mind. Wiping it out of the body, it acts as a nervous system purge. Within the last 5 years, pretty much since the pandemic, the rise of Eastern medicine, or returning to ancient philosophies and practices around self-regulation, has risen to the forefront of medical practice. Breathwork has been around since the dawn of time. I mean, when you think about it, it is literally using your breath to control and contain the mind, the body, and the emotional energy that is stored within our vessel. Now, since the pandemic, we have seen an increase of 300% in breathwork awareness, workshops, and people who have trained to become practitioners and teach this technique to the wider public. It helps people also gain autonomy over their bodies, because let's face it, there's one thing that you can control, it's your breath. When you have control over your breath, you can then influence the quality of your thoughts, which then also influences the quality of your emotions. We can then choose to elect for whether we want to stay in a survival mode where we're in fight or flight, or if we choose to be grounded and stay centered. The best part of this is that there's no equipment that's needed. So I want to share my own personal experience on how I discovered the 4-7-8 breathing protocol. Back when I was in the military, we used to do firing packages on the shooting ranges to work on our marksmanship. The instructors told us that the key to becoming as accurate as possible was to regulate our breath. So as we were training our sights on the targets, looking over our iron sights, we would breathe in and notice how the muzzle of our rifle would rise. We'd then hold our breath to keep ourselves in alignment with the target, and then slowly exhale all the oxygen from our lungs to create a flat platform, meaning that our bodies were completely deflated. We were completely in a neutral aligned position. And in that respiratory pause, that's when we could squeeze the trigger to fire and hit our target with maximum precision. While I was doing this practice, I noticed that in between the gaps, I started to feel this somatic release. I started to feel like a warm sensation. It felt almost as though I was creating like this little golden bubble of safety around me. And because I had this warm feeling, it kept me more aligned to the present moment, and any form of nervous energy that I had in my body, any sort of remnant of a doubt or anxiety that I was feeling while I was on the range just completely got purged from my system. It was only later on when I went into medical school in the army and I was faced with so many stressful encounters. I wasn't the best student, but I did learn how to regulate my stress levels as I went through my exams. And this is where I started to breathe in for a count of 4 seconds. I held my breath for 7 seconds, and then I slowly exhaled for 8. And that's what completely purged any form of cortisol or adrenaline that was in my body and allowed me to regain control over my mind and give me that clarity of thought that I needed to progress in the next stage of whatever I was doing at the time. Now, while the feeling does feel relaxing, it's not just that. It's not that quite simple. It is a nervous system reset, meaning that this breath alone can help us push out all the preconceived ideas that we've had of ourselves, any tense energy, any anxiety that is stored within the body, and it allows us to create space to fill it with new content, with new material, new thoughts, new behaviors, and a new paradigm that we can shape ourselves to become better individuals. So I want to go over some practical ways that you can apply this breathing technique into your day-to-day life. When you're commuting to work, when you're at work, while you're in meetings, if you are having a particularly difficult conversation with a friend or your significant other, or pretty much just anywhere you are in life. Now, I've said this a little bit at the beginning of the video, but I just want to reiterate just how quick and effective and easy you can use this breath. For myself, in my own previous lines of work, I used this when I was working, in the military. I used this when I was working within the ambulance service and when I was on response cars, specifically when I was dealing with really high pressure scenarios. I used this breathing technique to set myself before I went into job interviews, or even sometimes when I'm having a difficult conversation with one of the clients that I am coaching. As a matter of fact, I teach this technique to every single person that I work with because I know how effective it is, and I show them how they can start to take control of their lives from day one by simply using their breath. No need for pills, no need for external metrics or an app or any other means of externalization. They can just use the breathing technique themselves. And as a matter of fact, if you found this valuable, I'm going to be sharing 5 other breathing techniques that you can find in the pinned comment below as a free resource. All you're going to do is just sign up and it's yours. I really do believe that breathwork is a vital technique that everybody should master and use that within their own personal toolkit to be able to become mentally and emotionally sovereign, meaning that you have control on whether you decide to react or respond to the circumstances and the situations that you encounter in life. It helped me, and I'm just a guy who just decided to look for other means and methods to take control of his life, and I believe you can too. So like I said, if you're interested in the other breathwork techniques, you can access them in the linked comment. Now, coming back to the 4-7-8 breathing technique, I just want to break this down with you a little bit further. So we're going to do a little bit of a tutorial, and I want to help you understand just exactly what each phase of this process does for maximum effect. So, to begin, start by either sitting upright, or if you want, you can stand. The beauty of this practice is that you can do it wherever you want. You can stand or sit. I like to personally be seated. Sit upright, spine straight, keep your shoulders down. Just be firm but not rigid. Try to keep yourself in a relaxed posture. What we're going to do is we're going to inhale through the nose and direct that airflow straight into the belly, into the abdomen, okay? We're not going to breathe into the chest because chest breathing can actually promote more of a stressful response. This is a deep somatic exercise, meaning that as we breathe in, we're going to be feeling the sensations within our body and using that to expand and create space. So, breathe in for 4, deep, and expand your stomach. Hold for 7 seconds. This is where the magic happens. The CO2 is building within your body and is triggering this parasympathetic response. Now, slowly exhale through the mouth for 8 seconds and make a whoosh sound. completely empty the lungs. It should feel as though you're completely deflating the sac, and you would even find that if you're trying to talk, you're kind of gasping for air. And that's one cycle. Now, inhale again for 4. Hold for 7. And exhale for 8. And relax. We just did 2 cycles. For the sake of brevity on this video, I just wanted to take you through just a couple cycles. But for best practice, it's best to do this for a minimum of 3 cycles. Sometimes you may need to do it a little bit more. Sometimes you might need to do it a bit less. Depends entirely on how you are feeling and just how stable you are feeling within yourself. The main effort is that you do it enough times to completely feel neutral and balanced, to purge whatever tension or anxiety or any form of sensation that is keeping you in an activated state out of the body. Here are some common mistakes that you should avoid. Don't rush the breath. If you need to take a longer exhale, that's absolutely fine. That means that it's just more vagal nerve activation. So if anything, it's going to serve you in your favor. So the 4-7-8 breathing technique is just one tool in the nervous system reset protocol. In the pinned comment below, I have created a free guide on how you can use various different breathing techniques to help regulate your energy, to reclaim your focus, to build your energy up when you're feeling low without the use of having to drink a lot of caffeine, for example, or bringing your energy down when you're feeling a little overstimulated. And most importantly, grounding yourself and purging that anxiety from your system so that you can also achieve better quality sleep, improve your focus and clarity, and be more present with life. If you want to get access to that, just check the pinned comment below. And in closing, this 60-second protocol was designed just to help you with purging your nervous system. If you found that this video was helpful, please do leave a like, consider subscribing, and if you would like to see more content like this from me, do leave a comment. I'm going to be creating more stuff like this in any case. As always, thank you for listening, and I'll see you in the next one.